seeing means, usually, you open your eyes and you look to the outside world. You can see another way. You close your eyes and you look into your inner world. And I believe the best to do is to have one eye closed and to look inside, and this is the inner eye. With the other eye, you have it fixed on reality, what is going on around in the world. If you can make a kind of a synthesis of these two important words, you come to a result which can be considered as the synthesis of objective and subjective life.
This synthesis was at the heart of the surrealist project, the twin commitments of which were to social and political, or outer revolution, and to psychic, or inner transformation. We're going to look at the relationship between the stated political commitments of the surrealist group and examples of the art produced under its name. The term revolution appears prominently in numerous surrealist texts, manifestos, and periodicals. But rarely, if at all, is there any overt political imagery in surrealist art.
It's obviously very striking when you go into a surrealist exhibition that the images don't seem to have any direct connection with the political and social preoccupations of the movement. But I think that at the beginning, surrealism had a rather generalized concept of revolt, which through the 20s sharpened into a proper sense of revolutionary commitment. And after that point, the question of a relationship between action on the social field and action as artists and poets was one of the central dilemmas of the movement. It was a dilemma which, in a sense, couldn't be resolved. I don't think Breton wanted it to be resolved. It was something that he saw as, in a way, a necessary problem.
We're going to explore this problem by examining the work of Max Ernst. Ernst was the artist most closely associated with the surrealist group in Paris throughout the 1920s and 30s. A large retrospective exhibition of his work in London in 1991 provided an opportunity to examine his paintings and collages closely and to ask about the relationship between his paradigmatic surrealist pictures and the social and political commitments of the group. In terms of the materials he used, the techniques he employed, and even the size of his pictures, Ernst's work is extremely varied. Some of his paintings contain vivid iconographic detail, whereas others are more atmospheric and evocative. But while varied, his work also displays numerous areas of consistency. For example, many of his works contain highly incongruous and disorienting groups of disparate objects or figures. Striking disruptions of scale often appear in the same work. Solid objects are made to appear hollowed out or flat, like cutouts. Figures are often incomplete or fragmented. For the most part, these disruptions and dislocations take place within a very rudimentary landscape space. The pictorial rectangle is used like a stage set, where we are presented with a scene frozen in its development. Many works employ a deep perspective. Others contain a simple low horizon line, which marks out the space to be occupied by a group of figures or objects in the foreground. The upper section of most works is made up of a single color backdrop, usually a sky blue. In his painting, highlights and modeling are often very schematic. Figures are more indicated than fully described. Figures or objects are often delineated by a process of masking out the surrounding areas which, from any distance, we read as background or space. These basic structural components, then, are common to many of Ernst's works. In addition, his pictures are often populated by a regular cast of figures and types. Some of these acquired quite specific meanings for Ernst. For example, he used a male figure with a bird's head, which he called Lop Lop, as a psychoanalytic self-portrait. Birds or other animals in cages frequently feature and are given a more general or emblematic character than may at first appear.
Britton talks about man increasingly turning round and round in a cage, like a trapped animal, that his experience is increasingly circumscribed by events, circumscribed by the need to earn a living. And all these things gradually, in fact, kill off the faculty of the imagination. And so that round about your 18th year, the imagination abandons you altogether. And from that point on, you know, you've lost all capacity to dream, to imagine alternatives. And that, I think, is why, perhaps one could come back to the point about revolution, that if you cannot imagine an alternative, then perhaps, you know, you are incapable of taking action to make it happen. And so, I mean, he would see the imagination as, in fact, crucial to the revolutionary project of the surrealists.
Another recurrent image is the petrified forest. Ernst used this as a visual analogue of the Freudian unconscious, which Breton had often described as a labyrinth, dark, complex, and haunting.
I think that a lot of Ernst's work is in a sense about a sort of dialectic between nature and civilization. But I think that what concerned Ernst was in a way was the loss of nature, was the loss of an experience of the wild and of the primitive. And so his paintings of the petrified forest are presenting an image of a forest that has been already kind of cut down and turned into a petrified paper box. And so they are, they're quite, I mean, some of the images are quite ironic. They're about loss, and in a way they are simultaneously, I think, imbued with a very romantic spirit. Ernst was, I mean, had a great deal in common with the romantic tradition of his own country, but at the same time are a commentary on the loss of that romanticism.